Everybody, I'm back here with another guest on the AFS Health and Care podcast, Ms. Lori Greenberg, who Laurie and I met not that long ago through a local Ann Arbor connection group. And I got super curious about her story, which she'll expand on. But Laurie started out in healthcare world, transitioned into coaching world, which is, not the most easy transition. But the work that Laurie does is very similar to the work that we do here, just on a broader basis. She's all about unblocking people, coaching and unblocking people to get out of their own way and making the changes that they want in their life. Totally captivated my attention. Yep. So I wanted to bring Laurie on to share some of her work and thought processes to give to all of you guys. So Laurie, thank you for taking some time.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, we had a nice conversation and we decided we should continue it. So
at Whole Foods in your PJs.
Yes, in my PJs.
Yeah.
You never know where you're going to bump into people.
Totally, yeah. But yeah, give a little intro on you and kind of like the Lori Greenberg origin story, if you will.
So yeah, I'm Lori Greenberg, and I'm an executive coach. For 20 years, I was a clinical pharmacist in healthcare. Loved being a pharmacist, loved helping people with their medicines, helping them feel better, helping them take them properly. And after about 20 years, my kids were getting older. I did full-time initially, did a residency, and then did mostly part-time while my kids were getting older and growing up. And then I was ready for something different. I just kind of got bored. I get to a stage and I'm like ready to grow again. And I was like, okay, here's my chance. So I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do something kind of different. So I took some business classes and thought I was going to get my MBA. And then decided, actually my husband asked me, well, what do you want to do with the MBA? And I had to think about that because I don't necessarily want to work in corporate. What I realized is I want to help inspire people that you're not stuck in whatever you started. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to help people in a different way, basically, than healthcare. And that was helping people get unstuck, get out of their blocks, figure out what they want to do, what lights them up. Because I think we all have something that lights us up and it changes. And so what I've found for myself is, finding that clarity. When you find it, it's like when you know. I always say WYKYK. It's like IYKYK. If you know. And at that point, I found coaching, and I was like, this is it. And I want to help other people find what lights them up.
I love that. Yeah, you don't think of going from pharmacy to coaching. Was there something in like the pharmaceutical world that illuminated this whole coaching calling to you?
Not really. I mean, as a pharmacist, we help people, figure out their medications. I would, work with doctors at the hospital and help them to get rid of things that weren't helping. So in a sense, we were coaching, we were educating, we were teaching. But no, I think healthcare's changed a lot. And as a pharmacist, it started to feel like I got to do less one-on-one coaching or teaching, helping people, and I was just ready for something totally new, to learn something new. I'm a little bit of a personal growth junkie. I mean, I like learning about myself, and I like helping people learn about themselves if they're curious and interested.
Yeah. No, it's a great segue into the coaching world.
Yeah. So it just fit.
Yeah, I want to hear more about some of your frameworks with this whole unblocking piece, because a lot of people listening are in a blocked state just from a health standpoint, whether they have tried something in the past or they want to make some health change, but they don't know where to start or don't know how to get in the right mental framework to make change. What are some experiences on your end or things that you see that are signs that somebody might be blocked?
Yeah. So it's not for me to decide, it's for the person to decide. So like you said, we do very similar things. You coach people to their health journey, and that's one aspect of many of the different desires that people come to me for, and sometimes it's health journey. I think the biggest thing is to figure out why. Why do they want to lose weight, get stronger, get healthier? What's their motivation? And it's interesting because when you start to peel away the layers, if it's not coming from within, it's not going to be that successful. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times people will tell me because, my family thinks I've gained too much weight, or because I think I way more than I should. My doctor told me I'm gaining too much. And those should words, I mean, you probably know this. It's like it's a toxic word.
Totally.
So should actually puts it into like like you're supposed to, you have to. And I try to switch it, well, do you want to? And it's interesting. Sometimes people do want to and sometimes they don't. So one of the biggest ways to get people unstuck is to make sure that they want to get unstuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, one of our health coaches, Chris, people will say, I should. And he goes, why are you shouldn't all over yourself?
Yep. It's true.
Yeah.
And it's something that we think that there's things that we're supposed to do, and we have to figure out, like, well, why? Why is it important? And sometimes it takes them time to figure that out. Mm-hmm. When they know why, there's a much bigger connection to their motivation and to their path to success. So that's one way to help them get unblocked. Another way to help people get unblocked is to shut out all the noise around them and get them. This is part of figuring out their motivation or their why. Simon Sinek's whole book is about why. First, ask why. Sometimes we do things, or we think we should do things because culture says we should, or our parents say we should, or our spouse, or people in our lives, or influencers say we should look a certain way.
Yep.
And I'm a big believer that part of getting unstuck and getting clear on what you want is to shut out all the noise and start to go within and ask yourself, is this important to me, and why? What would change in my life if I got healthy or lost weight or any of those things? So that's the main point, the key to success.
Totally. I actually want to get your personal thoughts on this. When it comes to health, right? How does that show up in your life personally, and also support the work that you do with other people?
So my personal health journey.
Yeah.
So I am a big believer that, how you show up in one area of your life is how you show up in all your areas. And so, we're living a real life. And so we go up and down. And when we're down, it's hard to see things clearly. It's hard to feel like we're our best selves. And so for me, it's really important for me to, put healthy things in my body, to take care of my, mind, body, and soul. So to me, all three of those are really important. And again, that's what I help people support themselves with both taking care of their bodies, also taking care of their spirit, taking care of their health, all those things. So for me, I think I've mentioned, and it's like, something I live by, is I wake up early in the morning just to have that space for myself. Yeah. And I do some of my own journaling, sometimes meditation. I exercise. As I'm getting older, I'm doing a little more strength training. And, I just feel like when you feel good, you put good vibes out into the world. And so the better I feel, the better I can help people feel better. Yeah. We have to take care of ourselves first.
100%. 100%. I think sometimes people, especially in the entrepreneurial world, health is a secondary priority.
Yeah.
It's like, do the work first, serve the customer first. I'll get to taking care of myself when I feel like it, when I got time. That's not the case for you.
It's not. And I practice what I preach. So just before I came, my client, his health is just going downhill, and he knows it. And we've had this conversation over and over about, he's got to carve out time to go exercise for an hour. And I keep saying to him, like, what's going to help to support that? Because he really wants it, and we go through the why. But some of us need an accountability partner. So one of the things he's going to do is enlist a personal trainer so that he can, keep himself accountable to himself. But sometimes we need a crutch, and there's nothing wrong with it.
No, I agree. I think, when you don't have your health and you get your health, you realize what is actually unlocked just from that very key change. Yep. It's one of the greatest assets.
Yeah, health is everything.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Especially for people that are looking to perform or pour into like a family or have a lot of responsibility. Your ceiling is much lower without your health. All right. So, we talked about that. That's not a shock. So that shows up in some of the conversations with the people that you help.
Yeah.
What else shows up when it comes, like, all right, you got somebody in front of you, you're going through the why work. Like, what are some of the obstacles that people come across when it comes time to implement some change? Like,
that's a good question. And usually when we're planning the strategies or the action plan, we talk about what are some of the obstacles that could come up. We try to pre-think them, because if you know what could come up, you can, create solutions to overcome those obstacles. So, life gets in the way.
It totally does.
And so some of the things is, okay, so if life gets in the way, if you sleep in, what's a backup plan? So kind of having like, either I'm going to do it Tuesday, Thursday, or if Tuesday doesn't work, I'll do it Wednesday, Thursday. Or, it's like really coming up with, for every excuse, and they're not excuse, they're real things that come up in your life, but any obstacle that could potentially come up, we come up with a solution. So, and then sometimes it's like, the next time we meet, it's like, well, why didn't it happen? And no judgment on it, but let's try to figure out what would have been a better solution.
So getting ahead of those roadblocks.
Getting ahead of the roadblocks, the external roadblocks. The other thing I mentioned to you is we have internal blocks. We have stories that we tell ourselves I'm not a physical exercise person. It's not my thing. And we keep telling ourselves that, and then we start to believe it. Or I'm, a heavy-set person. That's just how I've always been, and that's how I'll always be. I like food, or whatever we tell ourselves. And part of it is changing the story, because our thoughts change what we feel, and then changes our action.
How does one begin to change the story?
Yeah, you literally go from your old thought and think, how does that make me feel? Well, if I think I'm overweight and lazy, then I start to feel overweight and lazy, and then I don't want to exercise. If I start to practice a new thought, it takes time to convert, but I start to practice what I want to think about myself is that I'm like this strong, healthy person that works out on a daily basis, or whatever it is that you really want to believe about yourself. That's going to feel empowering. That's going to feel exciting. That's going to be like, holy, that would be really cool if I could turn into that. That's going to make me want to exercise more so.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Totally.
And sometimes we have to get through some of the reasons why we think we're, fat, lazy, and it has to do with, environment influencers, all those things. Sometimes it's a swing of 5 pounds that literally makes us feel either lazy or like a rock star.
Right.
And it's really, no one else would know that there's that 5 pound swing, but the person feels like shit. Sorry.
Let it rip. We can add it.
If they're at the 5 pounds or if they're at their high weight.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So there seems to be active work. So there's there's an active
retrain.
Yeah, a reframing of consciously noticing a thought, telling yourself a different thought in your head. It reminds me, so one of the tools that our health coaches will use is starting off with a wellness vision.
Yeah.
And they'll have members go through an exercise where they actually write out their desired state in present tense of what their wellness vision looks like.
Yep.
So it's this reality that they can paint, and it can be words, it could be pictures, it could be a combination of things.
They can feel it.
They can feel it, yeah. So it's like this anchor that they can point to, kind of like a North Star.
Yep.
But the process is, it can be messy.
Yeah,
where there's
it's always messy.
It's always messy. So when it gets messy, what are some observations you have that people maybe have some pitfalls on when it comes to maybe straying back to those old, detrimental thoughts or limiting beliefs, and maybe some tools to help them get over that?
One is just awareness. One is just being aware of them without judgment. It's not bad that you're having those thoughts. You've had them for 40, 50, 60 years. So acceptance, right? You get aware, you accept it. It's okay. I've been telling myself this for a long time, and I'm still hearing the message. Yeah. So once you're aware and you accept it, then you can make better choices and say, okay, when I hear that, I'm going to do something different. What was go back to your question.
The second part of the question was tools that you coach people around.
Yes.
When they do stumble.
Yes, because when they stumble, they're not if. Everyone's going to stumble. And part of it is just being patient and trusting the process. Yeah. It's a process, and as you said, there's good days and there's bad days, and there's it's not success doesn't go like this. It goes up and down, and just continuing with things, and again, no judgment, total acceptance, and supporting them and reflecting on the progress that people have made, even if it's not what they were hoping for. Somebody wants to walk 4 times a week and they got to 2, but they were at 0, so we're at 2. Yeah. So it's like sometimes in people's head they feel like if they set a goal and they miss it, then they failed. And it's not a failure, it's a lesson. It's an observation of what what new things they can try. So I always say change is an experiment. And you have to experiment with different ideas and processes to see what works for you.
Yeah. How much, like, when I hear that and I put myself in somebody's shoes that has had 50 years of, self-narrative that maybe isn't the best.
Sure.
I feel like pulling yourself out of the muck when you do stumble is very hard on your own. So, like, how much support, whether it's you or, like, social support, how important is that in, like, the early stages of the change work?
I mean, it's important, and I think different people need different levels of support. When people hire a coach, whether it be a health coach, a fitness coach, or myself as an executive life coach, they're usually somewhat motivated on their own, right? They're going to be spending money, they're going to be spending time, they're going to be spending energy. They're ready for the change. So I get a lot of, my husband could really use you, or my son could really use you, and I'm like, does your son want a coach?
Right.
The client has to want it. So when they want it, it's easier to support them. So I'm not a person that thinks that I'm going to call someone every night and make sure that they did what they said they were going to do. Like, there's got to be some self-responsibility. But then, helping, what I do is I help them when they stumble, not if, but when, how to redirect, how to try something new, how to get over some of those obstacles that popped up. And the more honest and real they are, the easier it is to find real solutions that are going to overcome it. If they have a time of the day that works better, then, that's the time that you got to try to carve out.
Yeah.
So not too much accountability, because I think there's a lot that has to be on the client.
Sure, yeah.
But we're there to support them.
And does that show, is that like somebody that they'll call you or they'll shoot you a message like, hey, I'm struggling here?
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's dialogue there.
There's dialogue there, yes. It's a lot at the beginning, and then it sort of tailors off once they get into their groove, and then they have hiccups, right?
Yeah.
The hiccups get longer and longer. I had a client that wanted to meet or call me or text me or email me like every day, and I said no, like, not because I'm bothered, but you need to process this. Like, we'll talk next week.
Yeah.
So observe these hiccups and see what's going on. Like, why do you feel that I have all the answers?
Yeah.
Again, it's shutting out. I'm not the know-it-all about you. You are the know-it-all about you.
Yeah.
And I'm the know-it-all about myself. So the fact that you're grasping for solutions from me makes me want to, like, push it back at you and say, you got to find these solutions.
Yes, and that's the hardest part.
It's hard.
The hardest part, and we come across this all the time, and this is, our industry does a poor job of this. People inherently, all of us, it is work to do critical thinking and find solutions on your own. Like, that's heavy work.
It is.
It's unpleasant.
Yes.
You don't feel like doing it all the time.
Just tell me what to do.
Just tell me what to do.
Yes.
If you tell me what to do, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
That is one of the things that is such the hardest parts of reframing that we do.
Yeah.
And articulating this whole coaching role, because coaching is, when we hung out last week, coaching is one of those things where it is self-discovery. Like, it is not expert. Expert is, here's the plan, do this.
Yeah.
There's no self-discovery, autonomy, none of that. Coaching is that. And if it's done right, the person who's going through the coaching should kind of feel like, hey, I did this on my own.
Yes.
Almost questioning, what do I need you for? Because I did this on my own.
Right. And sometimes people will say to me, that was such a good idea. And I said, it wasn't my idea.
Yeah.
You came up with it, because if someone else comes up with it, it's a better idea for them than I would have ever thought of. So it is about, like, pushing them, supporting them to come up with their own answers. But that's really hard.
Yes. Yeah. And again, and this is the reframe. People that are in a state of pain that want change, they want the change, and a lot of times they don't understand the process to achieve the change long term.
Yep.
And that process is very much heavy work on that person's end.
Yes.
It is a lot of reflection, dialogue, like mental model shift.
Yep. Life changes.
Life changes, yeah. Yeah.
So it's uncomfortable.
Totally. When people work with you, do they initially come to you with, I don't know if it's like, not all the time, but a thought of, if I work with Laurie, it's just a matter of time before I get to my end state here. Lori's going to give me all the tools and answers. I just got to follow the process.
Sometimes that's where they start. They have a specific goal in mind or something that they want. And I always kind of take them on a journey. And the first few sessions are, well, you say you want this. Let's really dig into it. And sometimes it is what they want, and sometimes it's really not. We kind of uncover that there's something else that they really want, that just looks like it. I want $1 million. Well, why do you want $1 million?
Yeah.
Because I want the freedom of not having the pressure from work, or, and so we uncover what the real desire is. Then the next section of our journey is to figure out if that's what we're clear that we want now it all makes sense. What's been blocking you? You want to be this millionaire or whatever. I'm just using that as an example, or healthy or skinny or whatever. What's been the block? And then we kind of uncover, these are the obstacles that have been in my way, and this is what I need to do. And so then we create action plans. Like, now we're really clear on what you want. We're really clear what's been the block. We didn't even know that was what we wanted, or, I've been blaming this person that's why I can't do it, or it's because I have no time. And then we are like, okay, how true is that you have no time? And we start to create small steps in the right direction, not all the way to their desire or goal, but steps that are moving us towards it. Sometimes they need to do more research on, how can I exercise if I have this ailment that, is going to hold me back a little bit. But I've always used that as an excuse. Because of this, I can't do this. So
it sounds like it's a lot of excavating.
It's a lot of excavating. It's peeling the onion. It's poking holes in their limiting beliefs that they think is the truth, where I'm like, how true is that?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that. And that's what I think an outside person can do that we can't do for ourselves. I'll always have a coach because I want someone to pull those things out of me. I have blind spots. Everyone does.
Yeah.
And when you communicate with another person, you start to hear these excuses, these limiting beliefs, these blocks that we have, and they just become clearer. And again, like you said, we answer our own questions, and we're like, well, why do I have a coach?
Yeah. Where does vulnerability come into the work you do? What do you notice when it comes to that part?
It's definitely vulnerable. I feel honored that people put me in a place where they trust me in their vulnerable states. I mean, I would say all my clients are extremely vulnerable and open. Maybe not the first time, but they start to get more comfortable, and that's where we can really help them. Because if they're not honest with themselves, and maybe they don't even know they're not being honest with themselves, then there's only limits to what we can do with them. But if they are, like today, somebody I've been working with a few times kind of shared with me something that she feels shame about, and she doesn't really talk to people about it. She never even pulled it out of her own mouth. But once she said it, it's like, oh, well, we can work with that. Let's talk about it. There's nothing to be shamed about, and it's like she just kind of got comfortable with it. So I'm all open book. Like, I think it's more fun and more interesting when people are really vulnerable and know that they're safe and there's no judgment.
Yeah.
And I'm like objective outsider. I have no skin in the game. You can tell me that you don't want to be doing the career that you're doing, and I'm not going to fire you or tell you that we'll have no money. I'm totally outside of their family and friends. So.
Yeah.
And you too. It's like you're an objective outsider.
No, totally. And yeah, sometimes just that alone drives the level of vulnerability because of the disconnect almost.
Yep.
But I'm with you. You can't make change unless you get vulnerable.
That's right.
The real thing, like the blocks that you help people uncover. I would imagine there are times when it's not the most emotionally pleasant thing to uncover.
Yeah.
And you're there with them trying to work through some stuff they didn't even know was there.
That's right. And, I meet people where they are. I don't just start poking.
Yeah.
It's a slow process. So whatever you show me, whatever cards you show me, we work with.
Right.
And then when you wonder why you're not getting to the point you want to, we might go a little deeper. But I can only take you to where you're willing to go. And, similarly, I'm there with you.
Right.
I'm the passenger in your car, and you
Correct.
tell me what your goals are, and we get you there.
Yeah.
We get you closer. We get you on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
I love it.
sometimes you get closer, but then, road bump, and then you get the support and you get back on your track.
Yeah. No, that's great. What about the work that you do lights you up?
All of it. No, I really love connecting with people on a deeper level. I think this is, I know this is like where I'm supposed to be. And even with pharmacy, I was able to connect with people with their health and their medicines and their concerns about whatever their medications were. But this is like really fun for me because, I mean, I'm learning from everybody that I work with. And it lights me up to see them. I say, like, you know, that emoji that the head pops off, like the head blown. Yeah. I just love when I see that, and I see it in most of my sessions. Not every, but like a lot of my sessions. It's like, I never thought of it like that. Yeah. Somebody told me that, you know, their mom makes really good baked goods, and you know, after holidays, she gives it to them, and she can't help it, but they take it home. They love it. I said, "Can you freeze it?" And she's like, I never thought about it. And I could take it out, you know, the next week and eat it the next week instead of having 3 plates of desserts to finish. Totally. So it's just like I poke at things from a different perspective, and that's fun for me. Yeah. No, you could tell. You could tell you get, you know, you're in it. Totally. Yeah, that's powerful. All right, obviously, like, you can't directly coach people through the camera here or that are listening or watching. But I wish I could. Right. That's the next invention. But somebody that is wanting to make change, you know, what are some, I don't know if it's questions or tools that you can share with people to maybe take away and do some work on their own? I don't know if you have, like, what would be some, like, things for people to reflect on to start embarking on change on their own? Yeah, I mean, the question is for people, again, not everyone needs to or has to change. The question is, do you want to? Is there something that you want, that you're tolerating, that you just wish you could be better? And when you're at that stage where you're just getting an itch, that you're just ready to do something differently, then I would say to them, again, why? What's the motivation? And that's something that, you know, takes time to figure out. And then when they're clear on their why, like, this is why it's important to me, figure out, well, what are the challenges? What are some of the obstacles that have been in my way? Sometimes it's, you know, my family eats junky, or no one else exercises, you know, whatever it is. But we're only responsible for ourselves. We only can control ourselves. So we can keep telling us excuses, but those are the challenges, the excuses. And then what would it look like to change? What would be different in my life if I changed? And then, you know, what's like one tiny step that I could take today to change, to move towards the change? You know, it might not be a complete change of what I want, or, you know, like, for example, if you want your house to be cleaner, it's like, what could I do today to just start to be mindful that, you know, things are in piles all over my house, and I want to start focusing on it. Yeah. The other thing I think is important is people will tell me, I want this, and I want this, and I want this. It's like, you'll get all that, but let's focus on the first one first. Like, let's focus on one at a time. And then it's like one starts to lead, one win leads to another win, leads to another, versus having 3 things you want to have happen. It's like you keep bobbing from one to the other to the other. I want to lose weight, and I want to, you know, clean my house, and I want to get a new job. It's like, okay, well, which one's most important? Right. So prioritizing. Yeah. I think it's important. Start building some wins. Start building momentum. Some success wins. Yes. Yeah, that translates into the other things you want to knock down. Yep. No, that's great. I love it. So, last question I'll ask you, Lori, is... I'm on the hot seat. You're on the hot seat. This one's not in the script. I don't think it's hard for me not to ask you back. Right? I was going to ask you that. Yes. Because you're typically asking the questions. I'm always the question asker. On the health front, right? And think of health outside of just physical fitness, but like total health. Overall health. Yep. Mind, body, spirit, relationships, like all of that. For people listening, and from your experience, what has been maybe one of the most valuable health focuses in your life? Yeah. And then maybe some just general health advice, their suggestion. Well, I don't know if advice is the right word. Suggestions to the audience. So you are much better at the health specifically, but for me personally, and I've, preached this for many years, that power hour, consistency every morning. I go down by myself to my basement, or I used to go to my closet, but now I go to my basement. And just being alone for 1 hour and doing what I like to do and having quiet and just shutting out all the energy and the noise around me, to me, that's been the most valuable. I mean, I write in a journal. You don't whatever you can do to just kind of be alone. And I think people are scared of being alone, to be honest. But being comfortable with that, not listening to a podcast, no offense, but, not reading a book, I mean, a little bit, but just giving yourself some quiet time, for me, that's been the best health tip for myself.
It's huge.
And when I don't do it, like, if I'm on vacation and we're, out late and I sleep in, or if everyone gets up early, or we get up together, it throws me off, to be honest. So the consistent alone time, and again, maybe that's just me, I'm introverted, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that recharge time where you just shut out everybody else and you're just with your own thoughts is really important. I have a client that goes to work really early in the morning, and she realized that it's her car time. She says, "What do you listen to the car?" And I said, "Nothing." And so now that's when she really just focuses on herself in the car. And if you have never focused on yourself, just be present. Start thinking about your 5 senses. What do you smell? What do you see? What do you hear? And just kind of center yourself and get present. And I think that's really important.
That's huge.
Huge.
Especially in today, just inundation with...
It's noisy.
It is a very noisy world. So that goes a long way.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome, Lori. Thank you for coming on and sharing your thoughts and tips. We're going to link all... If you guys want to connect or learn more about Lori, we'll link all that in the show notes.
Awesome.
But, Lori, appreciate you.
Thank you. And for health tips, I would refer someone to you guys.
Sure. We'll see what we can do.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. You rocked it.
And that's our show for today. Thank you so much for sticking around, watching, learning. If you extracted some value, please share this with your friends and family. You can also click the subscribe link. I believe if you're on the Spotifys and Apples and you're listening to this, there's a subscribe link at the bottom of the episode. If you're watching on YouTube, bottom right of this video, you can click subscribe to stay up to date on the latest episodes. Thank you again for joining us on this episode. And with that being said, be well, stay connected, and take care of your health.